They didn't raise their voice. They didn't have to. The look was enough. It started at the eyes, a slow, deliberate sweep from my scuffed boots to my faded jacket. Then, the flicker of a smile that didn't reach the host's face. The kind of smile that says you are in the wrong place. The kind of smile that says you are a mistake. I felt Leo's hand tighten in mine. He is 8 years old. He has his mother's eyes. He has my habit of noticing everything. The air in the lobby was thick with the scent of expensive cologne and roasted garlic. The lighting was honey gold. Soft jazz played from hidden speakers. It was the kind of room that felt like a secret. The host adjusted his silk tie. He looked past us, toward the revolving door. A couple walked in behind us. They smelled like money and fresh rain. The host's face transformed. The coldness thawed into a warm, practiced glow. "Welcome back, Mr. Sterling," he said. His voice was like velvet. I stepped forward, my voice low and steady. "Reservation for Elias," I said. The host didn't look up from his tablet. He tapped a few keys with manicured fingers. His silence lasted a second too long. "Ah, yes," he finally said. He didn't look at me. He looked at my son's sneakers. "Follow me." He didn't lead us toward the center of the room. He didn't lead us toward the floor-to-ceiling windows. Those tables were reserved for the right people, the people who looked like they belonged in the glossy magazines. We walked past the white linen cloths. We walked past the crystal glasses catching the light. We kept walking, past the main dining room, down a narrow corridor near the back. He stopped at a small, wobbly table. It was tucked into a dark corner. On one side was the swinging door to the kitchen. On the other was the entrance to the restrooms. The air here smelled of industrial cleaner and heavy grease. The noise of clattering plates was a constant roar. The host placed 2 menus on the table. He didn't pull out the chair for Leo. He didn't ask if we wanted sparkling or still water. "Your server will be with you shortly," he said. He turned on his heel and disappeared. Leo sat down slowly. He looked at the kitchen door swinging open and shut. He looked at the line of people walking past us to wash their hands. He looked at me. "Dad?" he whispered. "Yes, Leo." "Are we in trouble?" The question hit me harder than a physical blow. I kept my face calm. I kept my hands flat on the table. "No, Leo. Why do you ask?" He looked down at the paper napkin. "Because they put us in the hallway." He said it without anger. He said it with a quiet, heartbreaking clarity. At 8 years old, he already understood the geography of status. He knew that where you sit tells you who you are. "We aren't in trouble," I said. "But the other people, they got the windows." I reached across the table and touched his hand. "The food tastes the same at every table, Leo." Is that why the man looked at us like that? I didn't lie to him. I couldn't. Some people use their eyes to measure things that don't matter. "Like my shoes?" "Exactly like your shoes." He nodded, but I saw the light in his eyes dim. He felt the weight of being unwanted. He felt the subtle sting of being told he was less than. I looked around the room. The server walked past us 3 times. He was carrying trays of champagne to the front. He didn't glance our way. He didn't acknowledge our existence. 10 minutes passed. 15. A busboy came by to clear a tray from a nearby stand. He accidentally bumped Leo's chair. He didn't apologize. He didn't even stop walking. To them, we were invisible. We were the background noise in a high-end symphony. I watched the manager. He was a tall man in a tailored charcoal suit. He moved through the dining room like a politician. He stopped at the tables with the windows. He laughed with the men in the watches that cost more than a car. He poured wine for the women in the silk dresses. I raised my hand slightly as he passed the mouth of our hallway. He saw me. I know he saw me. He adjusted his cufflink and turned his back. He chose to ignore the table by the trash. Leo was quiet now. He wasn't looking at the menu anymore. He was looking at his feet. The excitement he had felt this morning was gone. We had dressed up for this. It was a special day, a day to celebrate a milestone he didn't quite understand yet. But the world was teaching him a different lesson. The world was telling him that dignity is earned through fabric and leather. I felt a spark of heat in my chest. Not anger, not yet. It was a profound, heavy sadness. I have spent my life building things. I have spent my life making sure my son never feels small. And yet, in 30 minutes, these people had tried to undo years of work. Finally, the server arrived. He didn't offer a greeting. He didn't tell us his name. "Are you ready?" he asked. His tone was bored. It was the tone you use for a chore you want to finish. "We'd like to start with the oysters," I said. He made a small, skeptical sound. "Those are market price," he said. He said it slowly, as if he thought I couldn't read, as if he thought I didn't understand what market price meant. "I am aware," I said. My voice remained level, controlled. "And for the main course?" I ordered the most complex dish on the menu. He scribbled it down without a word. He snatched the menus and left. "Dad, can we go?" Leo asked softly. "Are you hungry, Leo?" "A little. But I don't like it here." "Why not?" "It feels like we're hiding." That was the word, hiding. They had tucked us away so we wouldn't ruin the view for the important guests. We were a blemish on the aesthetic of the room. I looked at the peeling paint on the wall next to our table. I looked at the flickering light bulb above the kitchen door. I looked at the manager, who was now leaning against the bar. He was checking his gold watch. He looked like a man who owned the world. I took a deep breath. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. I sent a single text message. Then I put the phone away. I focused on Leo. I told him stories about my father, a man who worked in a coal mine and never owned a suit, a man who taught me that a person's worth is found in their hands, not their clothes. My dad used to say that a lion doesn't lose sleep over the opinion of sheep, I told him. Leo smiled, just a little. "Am I a lion, Dad?" "The bravest one I know." The oysters arrived. The server set them down with a clatter. He didn't offer lemon. He didn't offer horseradish. He just walked away. I watched Leo eat. He ate with perfect manners, back straight, elbows off the table. He was showing more grace than anyone else in the building. The meal continued in that fashion. Small slights. Cold food, empty water glasses. The staff treated us like a burden. They treated us like a table that wouldn't tip. They were wrong about many things. As the plates were cleared, I saw a car pull up outside the front window. A black sedan. 2 men in dark suits stepped out. They didn't go to the host stand. They walked straight into the dining room. They looked around with sharp, searching eyes. The manager saw them and straightened his jacket. He hurried toward them, his face full of concern. "Gentlemen, can I help you?" he asked. They didn't answer him. They saw me in the back. They started walking toward the hallway. The manager followed them, looking confused. The host followed the manager. The dining room fell into a curious silence. The guests at the window tables stopped talking. Everyone watched the 2 men in suits walk past the good tables. They walked all the way to the back. They stopped at our wobbly table by the kitchen. They stood at attention. "Sir," one of them said, "the documents are ready for your signature." I didn't stand up. I didn't raise my voice. "Thank you, Marcus," I said. The manager reached us. He was panting slightly. "I'm sorry, is there a problem here?" he asked the men in suits. He still didn't look at me. He thought they were there for a security issue. He thought they were there to remove us. Marcus turned to the manager. His expression was like granite. "There is no problem. We are here to see the owner." The manager blinked. "The owner? Mr. Henderson is in London." "Mr. Henderson sold the holding company this morning," Marcus said. He gestured toward me. "Meet your new landlord." The silence that followed was absolute. It was the kind of silence that rings in your ears. The manager's face went through a spectrum of colors: pale, red, ash gray. He looked at me, truly looked at me for the first time. He looked at my boots. He looked at my son. He looked at the table by the restrooms. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. The host, standing behind him, looked like he wanted to vanish into the floor. I stood up slowly. I didn't do it with a flourish. I did it with the weight of a man who has nothing to prove. I looked at the manager. I didn't see an enemy. I saw a man who had lost his way. "The food was excellent," I said quietly. "Sir, we didn't realize." I held up a hand. He stopped talking. "That is the problem," I said. "You only see what you expect to see." I looked around the small dark corner. You saw a man and a boy who didn't fit your brand. So you gave us the worst seat in the house. You made my son feel like he was in the way. The manager's hands were shaking. "I am so sorry, Mr. Elias. Let me move you to the window, please. The chef's table is open." I looked at Leo. He was standing now, too. He looked at the manager with a calm, steady gaze. "No, thank you," I said. "We've finished our meal." I pulled a leather wallet from my jacket. I placed a $100 bill on the table. It was far more than the bill. "Keep the change," I said to the server, who was standing frozen by the kitchen door. I turned back to the manager. "This building is a landmark," I said. "It has stood here for 80 years. It was built with stone and sweat. It was built to welcome people. Tomorrow my team will be coming by to review the lease. We will be looking at the culture of this establishment. We will be looking at how you treat the people who have nothing to give you." The manager swallowed hard. "Sir, please. I have a family." "I know you do," I said. "I hope you teach them better than you practice today." I looked at the host. "And you?" He flinched. "Respect isn't something you reserve for the people you fear. Respect is a baseline. If you can't offer it to a child in a hallway, you don't deserve to wear that suit." I didn't fire them. I didn't make a scene. I didn't need to. The power wasn't in the building I owned. The power was in the dignity I kept. I took Leo's hand. We walked out of the dark corner. We walked through the center of the dining room. The guests were staring. The important people were whispering. We didn't look at them. We walked through the revolving door and into the cool evening air. The city lights were beginning to twinkle. The black sedan was waiting at the curb. Marcus opened the door for us. Leo stopped before he got in. He looked up at the tall glass building, the building I had worked 20 years to acquire. "Dad?" "Yes, Leo. Are we still lions?" I smiled and ruffled his hair. "More than ever." "But I don't want to own a building like that," he said. "Why not?" "Because I don't want to forget what it feels like to sit by the kitchen." I stopped. I looked at my son. In that moment, I realized he had learned the right lesson after all. The humiliation wasn't a scar. It was a teacher. "You're right, Leo," I said. "Never forget that feeling. Because the moment you forget what it's like to be at the worst table is the moment you stop deserving the best one." We got into the car. The engine hummed to life. As we pulled away, I looked back at the restaurant. It looked beautiful from the outside. It looked perfect. But I knew the truth. A building is just steel and glass. A business is just a balance sheet. But a human being is measured by the way they treat the invisible. In a world obsessed with looking important, choose to be kind. In a world obsessed with the view from the window, don't forget the people in the hallway, because you never know who is sitting at the table you ignored, and you never know when you might be sitting there yourself. True class isn't about the size of your bank account. It's about the size of your heart. It's about looking at a stranger and seeing a brother. It's about looking at a child and seeing the future. We drove off into the night. 2 lions. In a city of sheep. The lesson was over. The story was just beginning. Always remember, the way you treat people when you think they can do nothing for you, that is who you really are. Be someone worth knowing, even when nobody is watching. Even when you're sitting by the kitchen door. Stay humble, stay hungry, and always, always, pull out a chair for the ones the world tries to hide. Would you like me to adapt this script into a shorter version for a 60-second social media reel?